This September 29th, 2025 meeting of the Worcester Conservation Commission is now called to order. My name is Diane Fertoni, and I will be chairing this meeting. As part of this meeting, we will be holding hearings under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Regulations and the City of Worcester Wetlands Protection Ordinance and Regulations. The commissioners are volunteers who serve to enforce these laws and regulations to protect specific values identified as being important to Massachusetts and the City of Worcester. Commission decisions are based on these laws and regulations and are not arbitrary or based on personal likes or dislikes. It is important to the Commission that these hearings are held in a fair and equitable way for all parties involved. This requires that discussion take place in a civil manner and that every individual in this meeting is treated respectfully. To facilitate this, the hearings take place in the order they are listed on the agenda, which is available by the door and online. First, the applicant will present an overview of the project to the Commission. Next, staff will provide comments on the proposed work. Then the Commission will then direct any questions it has to the applicant or staff. After the Commission is done questioning the applicant, the floor will be open to the public. Comments and questions must be directed to the chairperson, not to the applicant or their representative, and they must pertain to the regulations that the Commission oversees. For example, although you might have concerns over the traffic resulting from a particular project, the Conservation Commission does not regulate traffic, so traffic concerns will not be discussed during the meeting. Please note that while new points will be given ample time to present, repetitive comments will be cut short in the interest of having all parties be given an opportunity to speak. We ask that all applicants and members of the public please state their name and city or town of residence for the record. To manage remote participation during our hybrid meetings and prevent disruptions, all participants are automatically blocked from unmuting themselves, turning on their video, or sending chat messages. For remote participants who would like to comment on an item on our agenda, we ask that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom during the discussion on that item. If you are joined by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Staff will then call on members of the public one at a time and give them permission to unmute themselves. If you are joined by phone, you will then be able to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Will everyone please introduce themselves?
Eric Flint, Division of Planning and Regulatory Services.
Maddie Van de Boom, Division of Planning and Regulatory Services.
Devin Canton, Commissioner.
Stuart Kirshner, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Are there any postponements, withdrawals, extensions, continuances?
Yes, we have 5 postponement requests tonight. All of these are requests to postpone the public hearing to October 20th and extend the constructive grant deadline to November 11th. We have item number 3, 31 Randolph Road. Item number 4, lots 9 through 12 Chester Street. Item number 6, 24 Lakeside Avenue, Garland Street right-of-way and Lakeside Avenue right-of-way. Item number 10, 30 Quinsigamon Avenue, and item number 11, 18 Kiara Drive.
Make a motion to continue or postpone items 3, 4, 6, 10, and 11 as described.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirshner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni? Aye. First item, new business, request for determination of applicability, 7 Pitt Street. Do you come up to the podium, please? Hi. Just say your name and city of residence.
White Alvarado, 7 Pitt Street, and his daughter Cynthia Alvarado.
Okay. Can you tell us about what you're planning to do?
So my dad's gonna rebuild the 3 porches. So we already got the approval because it's, I guess, historical. We already did that, but now this is for the foundation. I guess it's in a flood zone area.
Yep.
We already did the paperwork and everything. They just told us to come here.
To come here. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Staff, any comments or concerns about the project?
Yep, so essentially this project is within borderland subject to flooding, so they were required to file with us. They have confirmed that the porches are going to be constructed in the same footprint as they currently are, and that there would be no loss of flood storage capacity for the site, so no current concerns from staff at this time.
Commissioners, questions, concerns with the project?
I'm at the photo.
Anyone here from the public with a question or concern? Anybody online?
From that, so just one little thing my
Yes.
dad wanted to mention, from that drawing, that's gonna be it. The only difference is that he's just gonna close it off a little bit more at the shaded areas. I don't know if you could see. So right there, this is the new one. It's the same one, it's just that he wants to
Oh,
close it off.
up on the porch
Yeah,
itself,
just a
not
little
on the
bit more-
ground.
Exactly. That's it. He
Understood.
just wanted to mention it because that's what we presented last time compared to this one.
Got it. No, but no change to the foundation or the
No, no,
footings?
just the porch.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion for a negative termination?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni? Aye. So a negative determination is what you want?
Sounds good? Okay.
You're good.
perfect. Thank you. Ya, todo bien. Ya, está bien.
Pero necesitamos certificado para empezar ya.
My dad has a contractor. Does he need some type of permit or anything for him to start?
Yep, so staff will be issuing a determination of applicability form in the next week or so. So, yeah, so I'll email it to you. Yep, yep.
Me van a mandar por correo.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Next item, number 2, Bridle Path Right-of-Way, request for determination of applicability.
Is there anyone online for this project? You should be able to unmute yourself. You should be good to speak now.
Can the applicant hear us?
Can you hear us? Yep, it looks like you're no longer muted. You can try talking.
Do you want to move on and come back?
All right. Can you hear us? Yeah.
All right, we can see the applicant is unmuted, but we're not hearing them, so I think we move on to the next item and come back.
Yep, okay. That brings us to new business, notice of intent, 0 McCabe Way and 1393 Grafton Street.
Hey, folks, good evening. Can we hear me?
Yes,
Beautiful. And I believe I'm joined by Patrick Healy from Thompson and Liston, civil engineer. Well, I will jump into it here. My name is Chris Frattaroli. I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. We are here before you for this notice of intent we filed for, really the locus site is 0 McAvee Way. The work also extended onto the neighboring 1393 Grafton Street, which is, just to the southeast really of our locus here, held in common ownership. So not a problem in terms of site access or anything like that. But for a little bit of background, I know this has been kicking around the commission's agenda for a while now. We received an enforcement order for buffer zone clearing and grading. And really what this was a gradual expansion of this contractor yard that you're seeing on aerials here. It looks like it had kind of crept over the last several years and eventually came to your attention when it reached the buffer zone. So after that enforcement order was received, the applicant did retain us. We performed a wetland delineation out there. You can see that wetland in the bottom right of these images. And it's going to be that green line on this graphic that we're showing here right now. You can also see 15 and 30-foot buffer zones shown drawn off of that green line, and the 100-foot buffer zone a little further out. You'll note that really the 15-foot buffer zone remained untouched. The 30-foot was mostly avoided, and most of the work that did occurred between that 30-foot and 100-foot mark. That sort of orange dotted area there that you're seeing is really the limit of disturbance in the buffer zone. It measures about 8,300 square feet. So really what we're here for tonight is to seek after the fact approval for the expansion of this contractor yard in that area that we're showing here. And then additionally, if you'll recall, we did also provide stormwater management for compliance with the stormwater standards. So importantly here, kind of just off that southernmost corner of our site, there is an existing detention basin on the neighboring property, again, held in common ownership. And our understanding is that that detention basin was sized when it was initially permitted and constructed to be able to capture runoff from future development on the site that we are now talking about. So in that respect, we were fortunate that there was some forethought put into this. And what we are proposing really to capture runoff from our expanded contractor yard is a sediment forebay. And because our contractor yard is not paved, it's just a packed fill, gravelly substrate there. That allows us to achieve some TSS removal and comply with the stormwater regulations in that way. So that would be an addition that still needs to be implemented, but generally, overall, a fairly simple project as far as enforcement orders go. We would seek approval after the fact for the contractor yard expansion and approval to install this sediment forebay as it feeds into that existing detention basin. I do also just want to point out, you'll notice there at the southeasternmost limit of work, as those contour lines really clump up tight together, there was sort of an elevated feature there that was cut into. So really across the down gradient side of the yard here, we've got about a 4-foot berm that really prevents any runoff from heading directly towards that wetland regardless. So the proposal will be to capture that runoff, direct it through this sediment forebay into the existing detention basin, which is already sized to be able to capture runoff from this site, and then ultimately discharge to the wetland in the same manner that it does presently. So I think that's a pretty good overview of what has happened here and what we're seeking approval for. And unless Patrick has any 2 cents to add here, we would turn it over to the commission for questions.
I don't have anything to add, Chris. I think you did a good summary.
Thanks.
Staff comments?
Yep, so as Chris noted, this, stemmed from the enforcement order that we issued last year. We've had the NOI pending for quite a while, really just waiting on the stormwater report. As Chris mentioned, it was, the adjacent site was previously developed, and in the stormwater report for that project, which was from 2005, they basically modeled the stormwater so that this lot, which was referred to as Lot 2, was assumed to be essentially entirely impervious. They had a curve number of 94 for the whole site. We did review that stormwater report. We reviewed what Thompson and Liston sent over for the current filing. There are some deferred maintenance items that need to be done for that existing stormwater basin. There's some vegetation that needs to be removed There's a number of action items that were outlined in the operation and maintenance plan that require immediate attention. So if the commission decides to approve this tonight, that would just be one of the conditions that staff would recommend for approval. But aside from that, no other concerns with this.
Questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Were there any sizable trees that were removed?
It's a little tough to tell from the aerials. There were at least, when I did my wetland delineation and site inspections, there are at least a couple of trees that were kind of laid down in a brush pile along the side of the yard, which presumably came from this area. We don't have a firm count on that, but yeah, we presume that at least a handful of trees were removed for this.
And was there a planting plan discussed for any sort of replacements?
Not at this point, no.
Is that something that we'd like to pursue or no?
So just speaking to the commission's previous enforcement action, it wasn't something that we had requested or required as part of this. They didn't disturb the 15-foot buffer zone as part of this, so this is essentially just like retroactive permitting of what they did. There were definitely a number of trees that cut down. I remember when I was out there, when we got the complaint that led to the enforcement order, I remember seeing tree trunks down in that area. And you can see, I think, looking just at the aerials from there, how old or large the trees were, I don't know for sure, but there was obviously tree canopy there that's no longer existing.
Additional? Is the owner also on the line, or just?
I'm not sure. I didn't see him in the Zoom call, and I hadn't heard from him ahead of this that he was planning on being here.
Okay. I mean, I think part of the story we got to get to this point was that one partner didn't know what the other partner was doing on the property.
Yeah, I'm not fully apprised of the situation there, but I had heard something vaguely similar to that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that every owner involved in these parcels is participating in this process, and that's not going to be a reason for delay or an excuse for why the remediation doesn't take place or, the situation get rectified.
Understood. Yeah, I think that if the commission were to issue an order of conditions, it's binding regardless of any internal discrepancies there. So I think that would happen regardless.
Okay. And then what's the timeline that you or the owner expects to make these corrections?
I'm not sure that we've gotten, a hard and fast timeline down at this point. Patrick, had you heard anything in that regard?
No, I haven't.
We have timeline stipulated.
So the timeline that we have stipulated in the enforcement order was for the provision of the stormwater report. We could condition something in the order of conditions related to the implementation of it.
Yeah, because at this point, I mean, if they're maintenance items, we're not asking for plantings, we're not asking for anything that we need to delay due to seasonality. There's nothing we're asking that requires any postponement. Correct?
Correct.
Is there anyone from the public with questions or comments about the site? Anyone online? Okay. Is there a motion to
Make a
close?
motion to close?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Is there order of conditions?
So in addition to the standard conditions, we have condition number 25, revised plans depicting ground surface cover types such as gravel, grass, et cetera. Condition number 37 for stormwater management system maintenance, 39 for engineer certification of stormwater infrastructure, and a condition that within 90 days of the issuance of this order of conditions, the immediate maintenance actions identified in the O&M plan shall be performed. A letter shall be provided by a professional engineer that confirms the completion of these items and outlines findings of the necessary inspections. Any remedial actions deemed necessary during the inspection shall be performed within 90 days. And then we have condition number 68 for wetland permitting. We'd have ongoing conditions for the maintenance of the stormwater system and the wetland permitting.
Any questions from the applicant?
I don't believe I have anything, no.
Make a motion to issue the orders of conditions as described.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye.
Thank you, folks. We'll be working with the applicant to make sure this all gets done in a timely manner.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And while we're on this topic, we could also vote if the commission wants to lift the enforcement order upon the order of conditions becoming valid. So once that's recorded at the registry of deeds, we would lift that.
So
Unless you
moved.
want to leave it in place for now.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye. Do we want to recircle back to Bridle Path? Is
Yeah,
anyone
let's try
online?
that.
Hi there, can you hear?
Yes.
Can you hear me? It's Josh.
You on?
Sorry, I had called my phone just to make sure that I could get through, and that was the reason for the echo. Are you still able to hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi there, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You go ahead.
Okay, I apologize. It just FYI, I'm not sure why this happened, but in that everything is by default muted, there was my computer was like overridden, and even though I was appearing to be unmuted on Zoom, my microphone was still muted on my computer there. So I had to figure that out. I do apologize. Yeah, so my name is Joshua Surratt. I'm here from Epsilon Associates on behalf of Massachusetts Electric Company for the request for determination of applicability for the utility maintenance project near 309 Bridle Path. Before I get into the details, would you like me to share my screen and pull up any of the figures? Okay, here we go. Perfect. So the project summary is it's essentially a utility maintenance activity that is covered under the utility maintenance provisions of the Wetlands Protection Act. Epsilon and MECO do realize that the town's wetlands ordinance does not recognize the utility maintenance provision, but we hope that we can describe the project and that you will be able to issue a -2 determination, essentially meaning that the project is within area of subject protection but will not alter the resource. So the activities include the relocation of existing pole 31 that's shown there in the 100-foot buffer zone, not within any of the local buffer zones. And the relocation is going to be approximately 6 feet north, which is up on this map, and that's located within previously disturbed areas. This location is approximately 90 feet from the top of bank of Lake Quinsigamond, and it's not located in any FEMA flood zone areas or natural heritage endangered species mapped habitats. Also not located in any ACECs, and there are no mapped potential or certified vernal pools within the project area. The construction will involve the direct embedment into the ground. The hole will be augured approximately 5 feet deep. Once the excavation is complete, the pole will be replaced, plumbed and blackfilled with crushed stone, and any remaining spoils will be properly removed from the site, and the area will be stabilized. Also, part of the project is the replacement of an existing overhead transformer, which does not require any ground disturbance. Prior to ground disturbance, it's general practice of MECO to install sediment control measures based on grade. So that'll be determined at the site by the contractor in conjunction with the environmental monitor. And again, restoration and efforts will essentially include seeding and straw mulching, around the disturbed soils, around the pole base. Yeah, and in conclusion, we believe that the activities do not pose to alter any area subject to protection under the Worcester Wetlands Protection Ordinance nor the Act. And so we are requesting a negative determination of applicability under Category 2. Again, confirming that although the work lies within jurisdiction, it will not alter the resource area.
Thank you. Comments, questions from staff?
So as stated, this work is exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, but was required to file under the Wetlands Protection Ordinance because we do not have the same exemptions. Staff doesn't have any concerns with this project. It's being conducted in an already disturbed site, so no concerns from staff.
Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, through you, the chair. I may have missed it. What are you doing with the old pole?
The old poles are removed from the site and they're generally brought back to a MECO-owned yard where eventually they'll be disposed of at a properly licensed facility as necessary.
Are they dug out and removed or just cut?
Yeah, generally they'll cut the pole base and they'll leave a short stub there.
Okay.
Chair Pazzer? Any comments or questions from the public, abutters, anybody online? No?
Make a motion for a negative determination.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni? Aye. Thank you, you're all set.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up, number 7, new business notice of intent, 1A Corinne Street.
Evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Nate Boutz with Land Design Collaborative. I'm here on behalf of ML Realty Group LLC, who's joined me today, Andy and Helios back there. We are respectfully submitting this notice of intent for work within the 100-foot stormwater protection zone. This is a single-family residential development at 1A Corinne Street. The site is located in the RL7 zoning district, which has frontage. It's a corner lot located with frontage on Corinne Street and Grafton Street. No wetlands are situated on the site, and the site contains about a quarter acre of undeveloped area. The site does have steep topography ranging in slopes between 5 to 60%. And yep, the reason why we're submitting here today is for work within the 100-foot stormwater protection zone with catch basins located within Corinne Street and also Grafton Street. The exhibit here shows the stormwater protection zone buffers outlined in blue for your readability. The proposed project is the construction of a single-family residential dwelling situated in the southern portion of the parcel. Associated work will include paved driveway, utilities, boulder walls, and lawn landscape areas. Temporary work within the stormwater protection zone includes site preparation and other construction activities such as earthwork, utility trenching, installation of sediment control measures. Silt sacks will be installed within the catch basins located downstream of the proposed development. Permanent impacts in the stormwater protection zone include the paved driveway and proposed loam and seeded lawn areas. Stormwater attenuation will be collected via rain barrels at downspout locations from the roof gutters. And additionally, staff comments were received on September 24th, which were addressed and included in this plan set. The project is still subject to site plan review due to the steep slopes. So we will be meeting with Planning Board this Wednesday. And with that, any questions from the Commission? Thank you.
Staff comments or?
Yep, so staff had relatively minor comments related to extended erosion controls, native plantings, and measures be provided for groundwater recharge. Most of these comments have been addressed with revised plans, so they will be providing a rain barrel to collect some of the runoff from the roof. And they have provided a landscape plan with some native shrubs and trees as well. So staff doesn't have any concerns with this project at this time.
Commissioners?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering about if there's any potential for water to get onto the adjacent properties. Just if we're depending on rain barrels in the event they overflow, primarily that northwestern condition that I'm looking at. Just wondering if you've looked into that and can maybe address any concerns with that.
Sure. Obviously, the goal with post-development is to improve existing conditions. What the rain barrels are doing basically is collecting stormwater runoff via the gutters. During larger storm events, they will overflow over land, over like grass lawn areas, allow time to infiltrate. And the proposed landscaping and planting areas are also kind of along that property line with the intent that it will also help capture and attenuate stormwater runoff before leaving the site.
Can I ask you what the boulders are for?
Sure. So as I mentioned, the site, very, very steep topography, hence the reason why we're going for definitive site plan review with planning. So to match existing topography and maintain slopes of 3-to-1 maximum, there are small boulder placed retaining walls, ranging 2 to 3 feet high. That's to help catch up with existing topography.
So the area where there's no boulders shown, which water would presumably shed off that corner, I think that, Commissioner Canton raised the issue, is,
Yeah.
the water will flow onto the neighbor's property, which,
Yeah, so that's matching existing topography right now. That's how the site currently slopes. And if we want to flip back to the landscape plan, if we could for a second. So that's our goal with the kind of landscape and grass lawn areas. So it'll flow over land, over grass lawn areas, a long time to infiltrate, and then eventually hitting those landscape areas to also further attenuate stormwater.
and the construction entrance for this project's actually closer to the storm drains.
Correct, yes.
What was the
So
reason for placing it there?
one of the comments received by staff was construction entrance. So the thought process behind putting the construction entrance there, so you can kind of see it's a little like gray, but the topography, the steep parts is kind of all up in the southern portion of the lot. So that's kind of the flattest area, most easy for access, I guess, for construction vehicles. And there are 2 existing curb cuts, paved curved driveway aprons, which will be, removed, loamed and seeded, and curbing installed. And the thought process was to utilize one of those already existing paved aprons as part of the construction entrance. Construction vehicles enter through kind of the flat topography of the site to get to their earthwork, and then obviously that area is loamed and seeded.
So,
Project completion.
so the construction entrance is downslope of the storm drains? Yes,
Down,
below grade.
Yeah, below-
Street flows down towards Grafton Street.
yes,
So the
yes.
construction entrance is actually below where the storm drains are. So do we have storm drains that we need to be concerned about in the
The one in
Grafton Street?
Yeah, I would say the one in Grafton Street that's currently boxed with a silt sack.
Yep.
And then the other ones also have silt sacks within them for the, proposed earthwork associated with the house.
I assume most of the traffic's coming in from Grafton Street and out to Grafton Street, not
Yeah,
further in. And then the erosion controls you'd requested for the entire perimeter, including down there. When construction's not in process or the site's actively being used, what do you do to control the runoff to the street over the construction entrance area when people aren't actively using it?
when the site's just sitting dormant.
Weekends, at night?
Yeah, so that's where, the erosion control barrier all along the property line, along Grafton Street, that's the intent to hold that
But
back.
the entranceway itself?
Oh, so the paved aprons are kind of bermed up, so they do allow that gutter flow kind of along Corrine Street. And obviously, as part of, construction O&M plans, it's, construction entrance is supposed to be clean of all sediment, construction vehicles entering and leaving. And those silt sacks will furthermore protect inlets from sediment.
Right. I mean, who's responsible for maintaining the silt sacks, making sure that they're not getting clogged up and replacing them when they are?
Yep, so that would be under the contractor's responsibility, and I believe, Erica, you might be able to help. Is that an order condition?
It is typically a standard condition that the applicant in general be responsible for the maintenance of the silt sacks, so it does typically fall on the contractor.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the public? Anybody online?
Okay, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni? Aye. Order conditions?
So in addition to the standard conditions, staff recommends condition 46, wood removal, condition 49 for dewatering, condition 50 for cement truck washing, and that's all we have.
Any questions?
All set, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to wait for the vote?
Oh, yeah.
Make a motion to issue the orders of conditions as described.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni? Aye. And
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right, next up, number 8, new business notice of intent, 555 Plantation Street.
Good evening. Arthur Allen from Ecotech Incorporated, project wetland scientist. With me tonight is Andrew Dubé, grounds superintendent. He's been my contact for Notre Dame Healthcare at this project site. Again, this is 555 Plantation Street, the existing Notre Dame Healthcare facility. I was contacted because they have an issue along the south side of the site, primarily on the south bank of Coal Mine Brook, which forms that southerly, is right along the southerly boundary. The brook has been badly undermined, undercut the banks, and there's a number of large trees on that bank. At least 4 of them have fallen. One recently took down the main power feed that runs along the driveway between the brook and the existing healthcare facility. Some of the trees are large enough to actually hit the healthcare facility if they fell. So basically the brook's being undermined on the south bank, and then those trees the roots are exposed and they're falling across the brook. Andrew's worked with a tree company, and they've recommended 28 live trees, plus there's 4 standing dead trees and 2 trees across that are currently down across the brook. The 2 that are down have debris dams formed on them, which is actually impeding the flow in the stream. So the project, as currently proposed, would be to take down all of those 34 standing live dead and fallen trees, plus the 2 debris dams that are in the stream. It's proposed to take those down by having equipment parked out on the driveway that you can see there between the building and the brook. And then the equipment would reach in, basically grab the tree, cut it, and pull it out. And any additional limbs that fell or anything would be just personnel going in on foot to cut those with saws and pull those out. So there'd be no equipment going in closer to the brook than the existing driveway. They would cut all those trees off, leaving the roots in place to keep the bank as stable as possible. We're proposing 28 native saplings and shrubs to be planted to compensate for the removal of the 28 standing live trees. And we're proposing, in my protocol, I've proposed that those plantings, the locations of the plantings be directed by the wetland scientists, likely myself, based on the canopy openings that are created when the trees are removed. This extends about 600 feet along the Coal Mine Brook, primarily on that south bank, the bank of the brook away from the building and the facility. All the trees to be removed are currently marked with red paint, both above and down at the stump level, so once they cut, we'll be able to see that they just took the trees that were marked prior to the cutting. So again, those are the trees that were recommended to be removed by the arborist. I know I have staff comments that I've received and reviewed from Eric. One of the concerns in the comments was the extent of the tree removal. I believe, I mean, we don't have a DP file number, so obviously we're not going to be able to close the hearing tonight, and we're going to need to address the staff comments at a minimum. But I believe that probably the best way to do that would be to have a site meeting with at least Eric and Andrew and anyone else who's interested to actually go out there and look at the trees and discuss, if there's any trees that could be saved. And, that, I guess, I think that's the main concern. I mean, I would obviously, I'll address all of Eric's comments in writing, but I think that's the main one that we need to work through, before we can, make progress towards an order on this project. Also, I did delineate the mean annual high water line, which is coincident with the brook with the bank on both sides of the brook. And I discussed with Eric whether we needed to actually get a survey plan done, which Eric felt we didn't, because again, we're not disturbing any soil out there, not putting any equipment in the wetland. It's all work within the riverfront area, obviously, but it's it's removal of these trees that have been deemed to be a threat and proposed replacement with the native planting. So I didn't feel, and I think Eric agreed with me, that a survey plan was not necessary. So I just prepared and submitted a sketch plan to go with the notice of intent. That's about all I have to present. I don't know if Andrew has anything to add at this point, or we can turn it over to the commission.
Just be the safety of the residents also, that's where they walk. It's kind of their walking path around there, and, with the limb debris falling and stuff, it's just, it'd be helpful to get rid of the standing deads at least, if not the undermined trees.
Right, yeah, most of those live ones on the bank are undermined, right? Yeah, you can see pretty obvious in some of those pictures.
Yeah, so Andy initially reached out to me to talk about this issue, and I went out there and walked the site with him, and certainly understand the need for removing a lot of these trees. As Art mentioned, there's both power lines and a structure that a lot of these are threatening. And as Art also mentioned, our main comment was just about the overall scale and hoping that we could reduce it at least slightly. Just walking out there and taking a look at the trees that were painted, it's pretty much everything in that stretch. So if we could preserve some of that, I think that would be great. A lot of them are leaning towards the structure itself, so there's probably not too many that are like leaning back towards the woods, but there's at least some of them in there. And our main rationale for wanting to try and preserve some of that canopy is just that this is a cold water fishery, so the shading that these mature trees provide is particularly important. So that's kind of staff's main concern about the scope of the project. I think a joint site walk would be a good idea, especially now that the trees are all spray painted. And yeah, agreed 100% on the surveyed plan. I think doesn't seem necessary for this project, and I think the best way to see it is really to get out there and look at it. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Like Art said, we don't have a DEP file number, so we can't close tonight anyway. But yeah, happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
Commissioners, questions? So one of my questions is, the reason the trees are leaning is because the brook is undermining the bank. which is a condition that's not going to change even if you cut the trees down.
Right.
The new trees will grow, presumably they'll encounter the same condition and they'll topple at some point. Is there any thought or effort into figuring out why you've got fairly recent and profound erosion? Is there a change upstream in the condition of this brook? Is there something that's gone on or do you think this is just time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been going on and progressing over time. I mean, obviously, the watershed to that brook has been becoming more and more developed over time. I mean, yeah, I really just think it's the urbanization of the watershed primarily, and more flashy flows, more erosive flows in that brook. You know, you had trees that developed, you know, I mean, I'd say a lot of those trees are 75, 100 years old. So those trees, you know, started growing on that brook bank, you know, before a lot of that heavy urbanization and you know, imperviousness increased in the watershed. And I think they've both gotten bigger, you know, spread out as the flashy flows have increased. So it's just, it's kind of a perfect storm of things that have led to, you know, the bigger trees being, you know, more and more undermined and destabilized. So again, I think, you know, we're proposing kind of sapling size planting, shrub and sapling size, and we're not proposing to plant, you know, full overstory trees in there. You know, we have that, you know, we have a fairly narrow strip. I mean, it's fully, heavily wooded on that whole south side, so we really can't, you know, we can't really put trees further back. I mean, they don't own that property anyway.
So, well, you don't own it, but is it a owner in common, a similar entity that owns that other parcel on the other side?
That's city property, right on the other side?
Not
I'm
there.
not sure on that space right there. I think that's still part of ours.
Right, yeah, I
Yeah.
think the parcel still belongs to
Right.
Notre Dame under a
Oh,
different
yeah.
entity.
Yeah.
So it's a related party, if not the identical party, under a different name,
On
on the other side of the brook.
the other side of the brook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's easements for, you know, I mean, the city obviously has kind of the right to the waterway.
Oh,
They
okay,
usually
yeah.
do.
Yeah, but regardless, it's heavily wooded, and, you know, we really can't, you know, to plant trees under the overstory. They just, you know, we're proposing to plant within the openings as the trees are taken down.
Okay. But, I mean, the small saplings obviously aren't going to provide the shade that we're looking for there.
Yeah, not the same as the overstory, no.
Right.
No.
And I know we're not talking about the overall management of the site, but downstream of this, you also have the same problem, only the banks are eroding on the building side of the brook, so that the trees are toppling away from the building.
Well, downstream, there's no real structure down there. It's,
Right, as you move away, the water moves away from your property, it also, the trees are now falling
Yeah.
in the other direction. So there's, up and down the stream, there's a problem with,
Right.
you know, with the banks being undermined.
Yeah, it's just in this stretch, obviously, you got the main power lines, you got the driveway. I mean, as I was on site for an hour or so, I mean, there were 2 or 3 residents up and down that driveway in there with their walkers, and you got the building right there that's occupied. So there's a lot going on right there.
Okay.
And that's the impetus for this project.
So and I think going on site is going to be important to really understand what could stay, what might go, and whether there's an appetite for doing some improvements downstream there are places along the brook that are fully open with no shrubs around them, no tree cover. I think the goal is to keep the water cool, which is the issue here. And maybe there's an opportunity where it's safer to do so, to maybe plant in those areas to provide shade.
Yeah, we could certainly look at that.
Okay. I don't have anything else for now. Anybody here from the public? No?
The commission want to try and get a site visit set up
Yeah, I'd
where
like
members
to.
of the commission could get out there and, okay. Does people want to share their general availability? Or is like mornings, running out of time in the evenings, obviously,
Yeah.
at this point?
Running out of light.
I can do mornings, weekends,
Yep,
whatever
right, I mean,
works.
first thing in the morning for me.
Probably do morning.
Okay, well, I can reach out and float a few days and times
Great, wonderful.
Perfect.
And then waiting for DEP then on the rest of
for
it.
DEP.
Okay.
We'll continue to the meeting on October 20th then, next meeting?
It's fine.
Do we need a vote on a continue?
We do, yes.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fortoni? Aye. All right. See you
Thanks
soon.
for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Let's see, next up, 134 Gold Street and 5 Sergeant Street, notice of intent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Knappich. I'm a senior wetland scientist with BSC Group. Here with me tonight is Lee Bradley of Resource Center Worcester, LLC, the project applicant. The project before you is a proposed day resource center for Worcester's homeless community. And the proposal is to renovate the existing building at 134 Gold Street as the facility, to demolish an existing building at 5 Sergeant Street and convert that lot into proposed parking with a pavilion, landscape plantings, stormwater management systems, et cetera, for the facility. In terms of resource areas, the project is within 100 feet of catch basin that discharges to a resource area and is also within bordering land subject to flooding, as defined by the limit of the 100-year floodplain. And apologies to your staff. We did identify that boundary incorrectly in our initial submission. That's been since revised. That elevation is at 450.4. The published boundary is at 449.7, I believe, but the city recognizes the preliminary boundary as the boundary of BLSF. So we've since revised our calculations in terms of impacts and compensatory storage to BLSF to that 450.4 elevation. And that's been submitted to your staff as late as today, actually. We are still awaiting for the DEP file number, so I understand this would be continued. But just in general, the project would do mainly exterior and also interior renovations of the site at 134 Gold Street. And the parking at 5 Sergeant Street would have 2 catch basins along with a water quality unit that would, the catch basins would discharge to before discharging to the stormwater system of Gold Street. This is a unique project in that there isn't a surface water resource in the area. The BLSF boundary, floodplain boundary, appears to be from a culverted stream that runs somewhere underneath the property. I guess a legacy of city development years ago. And so, again, we've accommodated the site grading to provide compensatory storage incrementally foot per foot up to that 450.4 elevation, such that we'll have an excess of flood storage capacity after the site is developed. Through the course of construction, there'll be inlet protections for the existing catch basins. There'll be perimeter erosion controls around the sites, street sweeping and such to ensure that sediment doesn't enter the stormwater management system. And with that, I'll hand it over to the commission.
Comments?
Yes, we haven't done a deep dive on the review of the plan revisions yet, so we'll do that and issue comments in the next week or so. Did take a quick look at the compensatory storage calculations, and everything looks like it's probably going to meet performance standards for BLSF. I guess just a couple questions for the applicant while we have you guys here. I guess one about the dumpster, and then secondly about the pavilion. So I think it's described as a screened pavilion, I believe, in that parking lot on the 5 Sargent Street parcel. Could you just talk a little bit about like what the kind of fencing around that will be, and if that would pose any like restriction to floodwaters, or if it's open and would allow flow through?
That's a good question, which I probably don't have the answer to. I believe it will be open, but again, I can get that information to you.
Okay, sounds
next
good. And
meeting.
then just about the dumpster, I wasn't sure exactly where it is. I'm assuming it's to the right of
To
that.
the far right of the
Okay.
building? Yeah.
So I think we'll just want to, just some details on how that would be anchored.
Contained
Or,
and-
yeah,
yeah.
prevented from getting out, floating away if there were a
Understood.
flood, unfortunately, which does happen in this area. But yeah, don't have any major concerns off the bat. We'll issue comments and take it from there. But as the applicant's representative mentioned, we're still waiting on DEP, so it'll be at least another 3 weeks to our next meeting.
Commissioners, any questions for now? So just so you know, the river did flow just south of Gold Street between Gold and Lamartine was the natural bank of the Millbrook before it was
Is that
covered up
right?
for sewer. So it is a natural body of water that just happens to be hidden at this point and very prone to flooding
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
through its history.
I've since understood that this is one of the lower parts of the city that tends to flood quite a bit.
Right,
so,
right. And actually, the river ran just
Yeah.
off, just off to the east here. So the infiltration structures that you have for stormwater runoff,
So we don't have infiltration structures.
like the sediment, storm scepters, or,
Yeah, it's that type of design.
so, I mean, has anyone verified that you're able to install them to the depth that you would need to install them? I guess I'm trying to understand where the connection is to the stormwater in the street.
So if you look just north of the Pavilion Square,
Yeah, no, I see
there's a
the-
circle where the unit is. So the
Yep.
2 catch basins drain into that unit, and then there's a pipe that discharges to the right over to the existing system on Gold Street.
So everyone's comfortable that you can get the depth necessary to,
They've pulled structures, measured inverts, and determined depth of groundwater and such, and yeah,
okay.
it's been designed accordingly. Yeah.
I don't have any other questions right now.
Motion to continue to the next meeting?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Anybody online? Since there's nobody else here. Nobody? Got it, thank you. Motion to postpone.
Yeah, continue or postpone to the next meeting?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for hearings. Next up, requests for certificate of compliance, 29 East Mountain Street.
All right, so in 2020, a order of conditions was issued for construction of 3 low-rise apartment buildings. The work was never completed. They did clear or prepare some of the site, installed erosion controls, but never actually completed the work. So the site has been allowed to revegetate. The erosion controls were removed this past week. So the applicant is looking to have the order of conditions removed from the title of the property. So they're looking for a certificate of compliance issued for an invalid order of conditions. The order of conditions are due to expire in the month of October. So staff doesn't have any concerns with the issuance of a certificate of compliance.
Motion to issue their certificate of compliance?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni, aye. Next up for Aurora Street.
So in 2023, an order of conditions was issued for construction of a single-family home within the buffer zone to a BVW. So work involved installing permanent markers, which has been done. An as-built plan has been provided, along with a letter from a professional engineer. Staff did conduct a site visit on September 22nd, confirmed that the permanent markers are installed. They have since removed all erosion controls, and the site is fully stabilized at this point. So they're looking for a complete certificate of compliance.
Motion to issue the certificate of compliance as described.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni, aye. Enforcement orders?
All right, so first up, we have item, is it 13H? 13H, 215 Lake Avenue. This was an enforcement order that we issued back in 2022. There were several issues with this site during construction. Main issue was a exceedance of the approved limit of work, which was kind of along the riverfront boundary and then 15-foot buffer boundary closer to the water. Basically, they had, installed the silt fence beyond where they were supposed to and disturbed all that area. So they were required to remediate that. There were some shrub plantings that they needed to put in. There were permanent markers that were installed as part of the order of conditions, but also, again, required by the enforcement order. There were issues related to the dock configuration. And with the addition of jet ski lifts, there was some scour to the lake bottom. The applicant has since removed the dock from the site and doesn't intend to have that for the foreseeable future. The site has been restored, the riverfront area and buffer zone, that is. There were a couple areas where growth was still patchy, but overall it seemed acceptable. They had a requirement for 2 years of annual monitoring from a professional wetland scientist, which has been completed this year. I did a site visit with the property owner a week or two ago and was feeling confident enough about the site that I suggested they submit both a request for a certificate of compliance, because they still have 2 active orders of conditions, so that'll be on the next meeting agenda, but also suggested that we would discuss lifting the enforcement order at tonight's meeting. So at this point, happy to answer any questions the commission has, but staff is comfortable with this enforcement order being lifted at this point.
Do you have a current aerial of that property? When was your original order of conditions?
Sorry, what was it?
When, it was 2022 was the violation?
So the first order of conditions was issued in 2017, I believe it was, for the construction of the house, and then a second order of conditions was issued in 2021 for the construction of the dock, or the installation of the dock.
So the dock is gone.
The dock is gone, yep.
Okay. So you'd like to lift the enforcement order?
That's staff suggestion.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni, aye.
So we'll see that one next week, or next meeting, for the certificate of compliance request.
Okay.
Next up, we have item 13K. This is 265 Lake Avenue. This is one of the, actually one of the properties that we reviewed at the meeting, last meeting, where they came in with an annual monitoring report. So when we kind of issued the two enforcement orders to 255 and 265 at the same time, when the order of conditions was issued for 255, the commission voted to lift the enforcement order upon that order becoming valid, but we didn't do that for 265. And at this point, now that the plantings have been installed and that we have conditions for monitoring in the order of conditions for 265, we'd recommend lifting the enforcement order for 265 and letting the second year of monitoring next year proceed under the order of conditions for that site.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kenton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye.
All right, and one more update for you. So we have 13W, which is 620 Grove Street. So you guys may remember from earlier this spring. So essentially, work was conducted on the property without a permit. So it was within the 15-foot buffer of Delaney Brook. They were looking to remove a old pool structure that had been buried on the property. So they came before the commission. The commission requested they file a request for determination of applicability, and a determination of applicability was issued to allow them to remove the pool structure. Since then, the 15-foot buffer has been restored, and the pool structure has been removed. The whole site has been stabilized. They did kind of do a little bit more landscaping closer to the brook, but there are native plantings within that planting bed, and they are happy to let the mulch bed grow in with more native plantings as well. But at this time, staff is comfortable lifting the enforcement order. The requirements of the enforcement order was to restore that 15-foot buffer, and they have since done that.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye.
All right, so next up, we have item 13DD. This is a new enforcement order that staff issued since the last meeting. This is for 9 and 13 Elton Street. This project has an active order of conditions for construction of a triplex in the buffer zone. What you can see on the screen here is a red-lined overlay of existing conditions, with the exception of the driveways, which are not currently installed, over the approved plan. And that kind of red shaded area, kind of a band just east of that grading, is a riprap slope. So that riprap slope was not permitted. That area was outside of the approved limit of work. As you get closer to the wetland boundary, it's within the 30 to 15 and then partially within the wetland. The erosion controls were a complete mess. The street was covered in sediment. Catch basins were full of sediment. There was construction debris in the channel just down gradient of the outfall. So obviously this was a instant enforcement order issuance. We required that work stop on site. We required that a wetland scientist provide a report detailing the impacts and proposed remediation. We also required that an amended order of conditions be sought for any proposed changes to the approved plan. So if they are going to propose new grading in that area that's outside of what was previously approved, that needs to come back in the form of a revised plan and amendment request. But obviously the main issue at the moment is just getting the erosion controls installed, getting that street cleaned up, and then getting the debris out of that wetland as well. So we set a deadline for them to appear at the next meeting to discuss this. We've been in contact with their wetland scientist. I think he was getting out there today to take a look at this, but he was going to provide a report in terms of getting the remediation going, but obviously not great. So tonight we're just looking for a ratification. Happy to answer any questions the commission has. If there's anything burning that you'd want to see required, we can also add that to the existing enforcement order.
It's hard to say anything about it. It speaks for itself.
Yeah. Motion to ratify.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni? Aye.
Nothing from staff under discussion of active projects or
Okay.
open space
Open
discussion
space.
tonight.
Communications conference coming up.
Fall conference coming up. If anyone wants to attend, it's in our budget, so just let us know. Let us know what workshops you want to go. Go join Diane on an October Saturday in Devon's.
I'm taking one of my classes in the morning, so that's, knocks off one of my 2 left to go.
Nice.
Maybe 1. Minutes?
So the September 8th meeting minutes were ready for review.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve. There are no comments?
Comments?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bertoni? Aye. Just real briefly on policies and procedures, we talked a little bit about the local ordinance and the ability to, I guess, align with the Wetland Protection Act when it came to projects like the utility was doing. What do we need to do collectively to move that forward?
Yeah, so I guess bigger picture, any changes to the ordinance need to be approved by city council. Any changes to the regulations can be approved by the commission. So it's in the ordinance where it says basically that the Wetlands Protection Act exemptions do not apply, so that's where we would need to make the change. So I think next steps, I can run it up the flagpole within our department about what we need to do to get that working. I believe we probably just need to we need to have a public hearing at some point. We would need to run by the law department the proposed changes that we'd be looking to make, and then they would work on the language. That's typically how the ordinance changes would go. And then I think we would ultimately make a recommendation to city council and then get it on a city council agenda.
Okay, so in addition to, is there anything else we would want to, if we're going to start the process, anything else we want to modify that we've been kind of wishing for, if we're going to go through all this effort, put it all together and?
I think that's been part of the holdup in doing this, is that we've kind of wanted to package together a larger thing. Like we've talked about streamlining permitting, which is, I think, probably the easiest and most straightforward to do because it's a relatively simple fix to adopt certain provisions of the Wetlands Protection Act. We've talked previously also about incorporating resilience into the ordinance, so like including protected acts such as like carbon sequestration in addition to things like water quality. That's something that's currently underway at the state level. It was recently proposed under the Mass Ready Act. We've talked about making changes to the stormwater protection zone and the types of projects that come through. I think we felt previously that sometimes it's a little kind of duplicative to have a project. A good example, I think, being one of the single family home that came in front of us earlier tonight, having that go through both a site plan review in planning board and a local ordinance review through Concom. So those are kind of the main items that we've discussed over the past year or two. So I guess what I could say, commit to doing between now and the next meeting would be just discussing with the leadership of my division and then kind of outlining what it would look like for next steps to get something going. Because I agree, it would be nice to get a little more streamlined process when it comes to some of those minor,
From those
minor
simple
projects.
things
Yeah,
that you could approve or could move
yeah.
move
Would make
along.
everybody's life easier.
Through the chair to staff, do we have any ability to increase or add some teeth to some of the fines or enforcement orders that that other people seem to overlook a lot? Can we add some teeth to that, or is that too onerous a process?
My understanding, and I could confirm this, is that we can't. I believe that the fining process is laid out elsewhere in either state or city laws and regulations. So the process that we typically use when fining people is non-criminal disposition. That's the one where we have the ability to fine people up to $100 per day per violation. There's a $300 per day per violation option, but that involves going through the court system. So typically, it's only been the non-criminal disposition process that we've used for fining. So I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room to modify that in our regulations. I think we are kind of constrained by that. I think I guess the bigger threat is essentially escalating it to the state where they can issue fines up to $25,000. But yeah, we admittedly don't have a ton of teeth with the fines that we're able to levy for enforcement orders.
It was worth a try.
I think we ought to figure out a public shaming board for all of the contractors that openly violate and just put it out there on social media, and it ought to be punishment enough.
Go back to our roots and get the stock in the city square.
Yeah.
Farmers market tomatoes.
Can run that by the communications department.
Anything else?
Not from staff.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for the time, everybody.
Bye.